vague memory, childhood memory, of some little Batman and Robin action figures. Not action figures, forgive me, that's wrong. They were more like the kind of thing that now comes in the little Happy Meal toy type thing, or what you would put on a birthday cake. That was the size of the stuff. I remember looking in, I don't know what my mom and sister had just gotten, maybe something from the refreshment stand, but that's how long ago this was. Again, I'm 29, and but I remember this. When the movie came out, it was around that time. Either the movie was about to come out, or maybe we saw it. I don't remember. I just remember that as a child. And Robin, even though Robin wasn't in the 1980s Tim Burton Batman film, they had him there too, and he was in the same similar costume as in the television show from the 60s or whatever. Or maybe it was 70s, I'm not sure. But yes, that's how far back my Batman memories go. I do have a memory. Yes, it is real. A real memory, not something that I just dreamed up. And it's one of those things that just kind of bubbles to the surface every now and then, and I remind myself that yes, I do have that. But yeah, I will go ahead and say that the 1980s, was it 89? Batman film, Tim Burton created, directed, was my favorite, is my favorite of the Batman films that have been made so far. And that's something I kind of stand by that. I'll go ahead and give my list of favorites in order of all the ones from greatest to least, in my opinion. Just my opinion, bear in mind, just my opinion. We can talk this over. Just my opinion of the movies that have been made so far. I don't know if the character of was it Vicky Vale, Kim Basinger's Vicky Vale, if she was an actual character in the comic book or not, or if just something that was made up for the movie. But going ahead and talking about different things, comparisons in the movies, I guess I need to go ahead and say, since I want to talk about Jack Nicholson as Batman, as Joker, that I like his portrayal of Joker better, or more so, than Heath Ledger's in The Dark Knight. And please don't get me wrong, and please don't shoot or anything. I can explain my personal reasons. And again, I guess I'll end up comparing some of the Nolan trilogy to the other things that came before it in the big round Batman universe, all of it together. To me, Jack Nicholson, his face, the way he could do it, and especially with the makeup on, the laugh, the psychotic, maniacal clown, he seemed to me, my senses were deceived because it was that good acting. His acting performance, I thought he was the Joker from, the Batman universe. In Nolan's film, The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger didn't really strike me as... His Joker didn't really seem to be the Joker from the Batman comic books, from the Batman universe, because, yeah, he kind of laughs at the end, but he didn't have that same laugh. And the Joker, one of the key things about him was his laugh. And there were other things, but mainly, I overall got the feeling from Heath Ledger's Joker that, yeah, he's a psychotic, murdering clown, maybe even a villain, a evil genius mastermind, whatever. But that's not necessarily the same thing as the Joker from the Batman universe that we all know of, that Joker. And don't get me wrong, Heath Ledger's acting performance was, I thought, it was great. I'm glad he got his that award that he received posthumously, unfortunately, because he did pass away. But I'm glad he got that. But as far as the Joker part of it, I just felt like... But then again, that is not limited only to Heath Ledger's Joker. There were other things about the Christopher Nolan films that, even though there are some things about him I really like, there are other things about him I was like, this doesn't really seem like a Batman movie necessarily to me, because of mostly to do with the realistic part of it that ultimately wasn't realistic, because it's trying to make a realistic depiction of a world that by its nature is fantasy. Batman is, love him or hate him, well, especially if you love him, he's still like a terrorist, basically. I refer to him as everybody's favorite terrorist. As all superhero vigilante stuff goes, he's still like that. Maybe not an evil person, no, his intentions are good, but he's still this outside of the law character. Which is one of the things that makes Batman so interesting, that he's this hero. He's this hero, and that's the way the story goes. But the world in which he lives, and the villains on top of that, big time, even more so than him. I mean, think about it. The Joker, the Riddler, the Penguin with his deformities. I know in later times and in the animated series that I really would love to get on DVD one day when I can. Clayface, things like that. Two-Face, hello, Harvey Two-Face. It's fanciful, it's fantasy. There's only so much you can do in trying to put it up on film. You can do it, which again is one of the reasons why I like Tim Burton's Batman so much, because I'm kind of borrowing a point from another YouTuber when I say this. It's the reason why I like Tim Burton's Batman more so than any other Tim Burton film, because to be honest, I know he's into like this dark stuff. It's always got to be claymation stuff in a cemetery. Maybe I will watch Nightmare Before Christmas one of these days again, because I haven't seen it since I was a kid. But what was it, that dog in that new movie that comes back to life from the I'm not into this stuff. The ghoulish, everything is deathly and all. I'm just not into it. But one thing about it is his dark depictions, and everything's got to be like a cemetery or whatever. It actually worked with Batman, and he understood that it's fantasy. And that's why that Batman, I thought, worked out so well. And that, unfortunately, trying to do this, the legend of Batman, the legend of Bruce Wayne's sacrifice, what he was trying to do in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, that depiction of it, just didn't work the way I think that it didn't do what I think they were trying to do. And don't get me wrong, when I talk about those films in a minute, I'll tell you in a second that I was immensely entertained. They're these big movies, but as far as my favorite goes, it's definitely got to be the 87, 88, 89? I want to say 89 for some reason. Tim Burton Batman. I liked Michael Keaton as Batman. Maybe, who's been the best Batman so far? I liked Val Kilmer a bit in Batman Forever. Maybe they should have made his hair darker or something. Anyway, but I guess I would have to say Michael Keaton. I actually like Michael Keaton as Batman the best so far, because George Clooney, the whole thing with Batman and Robin, which I only watched one time when I rented it when it first came out on video. It might have been on video cassette that we rented it. It might have been that one of the last things that we rented on a VHS tape back in the day. If he himself admits in an interview that he wasn't on board with it, how can I say that I was on board with, as far as things that I like, things that I approve of, and say, yeah, that was a good acting piece, or that was a really entertaining movie. People attached to the film, as far as the making of it, the makers of it, seem to have regrets. So how can I say that I liked it? I didn't love the film, but I guess I'll talk about that when I'm done with the others. Batman, Tim Burton. It worked. That's all I can say, and it still works, because Batman is it is a fantasy world, just like any other superhero. You really can't make, as hard as they tried with the Nolan films, it's not real. To try and make it real and to try and get real life lessons from Batman. There's just too much to the Batman universe to do that. You could do that with. I don't think I even watched all of V for Vendetta, but something else that you would need to have an original character to do what I think that they're trying to do with the Nolan films, wholly separate from, apart from Batman. A whole new character to do what I think they were trying to do with those films. But yeah, Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale, that news reporter guy. And again, Jack Nicholson, I think, it's one of the, I consider it a signature thing, this classic thing that he did as the Joker one time. Is why I like the film. Can't tell you how many times I reenacted this stuff when I was a kid, the whole thing at the end. He's in his bat plane or whatever it is, his bat jet, grabbing those balloons, and the scene with Nicholson's Joker's like, he stole my balloons! Why didn't somebody tell me he had one of those things? Bob Gunn. And that's supposed to be like top 10 unexpected deaths in cinema on some list I saw the other day. The whole thing with the sing and dance routine. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds, as they ruin all the artwork in the museum or wherever he was supposed to. Bruce Wayne was supposed to meet Vicky Vale. The whole thing with the chemical plant, it was very Jokerish to me, and again, I think that's why the movie is so good in my mind. And again, I hate to sound like I'm downing the Christopher Nolan trilogy so much. It's just that it's out there now, and so it's part of the Batman stories that have been told, and it's like in my mind I can't help but compare it to it. I compare it to other things too, but it's just I can't ignore it, and at the same time I don't want to sound like I'm bashing the Christopher Nolan films, because that's not what this recording's about. It's just about me giving my thoughts on the whole thing. All, how many? Seven movies basically that have been made so far, and I'm more excited about Batman vs. Superman than I have ever been about any Batman movie and any Superman movie ever, because finally things are going to start getting interesting, I hope, in a way, on the big screen that's just going to be really entertaining and epic. I hope, anyway. I hope. Just like I hope Days of Future Past is going to be a good movie. But anyway, yeah, I like Batman 89 the best, or Tim Burton's Batman if I'm getting the year wrong. I did not really care for Batman Returns. I mean, looking back, I can remember being a kid. It's amazing what you can remember. It really is. The commercial for when a trip to, it was one of those like tropical island Hawaii vacation things, and it was part of a Batman promo. Do you remember that thing with the suitcase opening, and it looked like Bruce Wayne's mansion a little bit from the second movie, which was a different mansion than they used in the first film? You know, I don't think I've ever been in this room. Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman. I mean, I don't know how much I can even talk about the Catwoman character. It's just, I'm with others, even critics, even when they say there's just the sexual innuendo in the movie isn't just there. It really is too much. I mean, it's bad enough that it's there at all, but it's like the whole thing with Danny DeVito's, I think it was Danny DeVito's Penguin is like, come on, man. And again, I'm afraid that movie in some places was too dark for its own good. Talking to the penguins at the end, many of you will not live, will not survive the task, or whatever that speech he was given was. And the whole fight at the end, the thing in the sewer, is like, I just didn't like it as much as the first film. It was the elements in it of the imagery, because again, I guess I'm speaking from my memories as a kid. you don't hate this Michelle Pfeiffer person, though, Selena Kyle. I mean, you like her, even especially me as a kid. You kind of identify with her. It's like she's got this job. She's kind of a nerdy woman, not even thinking in terms of wow how good looking she is at that point in my life. I'm just thinking this guy's mean and evil. And again, seeing the movie as a kid, when she gets pushed out of the window, it's like it's kind of a traumatizing thing. The way she becomes Catwoman with the cats nipping at her wounds and cuts and stuff. And then to see her depiction of Catwoman, it's like it's there, but I don't know that that's the real Catwoman from the comics, you know? So much to that movie that, again, the Tim Burton part of it, I like that initial battle scene in the snow with the clowns, the things the Batmobile does. Batmobile was killer. Maybe that's my favorite Batmobile. It's got to be. Oh, yeah, definitely. From the first and second movies. To see it slim down and fit through those two buildings, all disassemble and just be a real slender thing so he could escape with the thing under the car with the penguin controlling it. I played this stinking city like a harp and just on and on it went. And then his death scene at the end, bleeding out of his mouth from the freezing water and all this stuff. I'll kill you I'll murder you momentarily, but right now I could use a cold glass of ice water. And Christopher Walken's character, it's like, I don't really... One of the darker Christopher... Because I think, as I was thinking about Tim Burton films a minute ago, I'm not sure if he did Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp or not. I'm not looking at IMDb right now, but it seems like something he would do. But I know he was like the Headless Horseman or something in there. Christopher Walken, oh my goodness. And I like a lot of Christopher Walken stuff, but it's like even his, and that's the kind of role he does, but it's like just him being in it doesn't, looking back, it doesn't really help the film in my opinion. It was just, and again, thinking about it, maybe all the same stuff, except the sexual innuendo stuff, maybe all the same stuff could have been done again, and it actually been a great movie if it was only done differently. But I'm afraid it's just one of those films that it's like, it hit me wrong, and it still hits me wrong. While somebody else's opinion might be that, oh, it was a great movie, it was as good as the first one or better. You know, who knows, because it's just opinions. Batman Forever. I saw that movie 3 or 4 times when I was a kid, and the thing about it that makes it so great is that I was a little kid, and like so many other little kids, like at the elementary school I attended, a couple of the boys, of course, thought they were Jim Carrey from Ace Ventura doing the thing with the mouth, and alrighty then, and all this stuff. It was like one of his breakout things. I hadn't watched in living color a whole lot. We didn't have cable or satellite out here in the sticks where I live, and so maybe we didn't see shows every day. Had like 2 or 3 channels, and like Jeff Foxworthy said, if the president was on, your night was shot. But we had Fox 10 or Fox 25 shows came on. ABC, of course, we had that. Maybe NBC or maybe NBC was the network that was all fuzzy and wouldn't come in where we live or anything. But anyway, I sort of knew who he was, but when I watched Ace Ventura, and I'm laughing myself silly as a little kid, how we got some of this stuff in the house with some of it's vulgar and crude. It's like, looking back, I don't know how in the world we ever watched the junk or how I saw it to begin with. I just remember the first scene, how over the top it all was. Talking about Ace Ventura for just a second, smashing this box, and he just seemed so funny with all of his limbs flaying and everything. And you've been had by Ace Ventura, the way he rescued the dog and the guy is trashing his car. I just remember laughing myself silly at all that stuff. But then there was The Mask, and how great The Mask was when I was a kid, and even now, what a great little movie it seems to me, and a commercial on a trailer for that movie talking about Dumb and Dumber, already made, going to be in the theater. And then after that, it was, I think maybe this movie was right after that, Batman Forever. It was like one thing after another. It seemed like there was just one thing after another from Jim Carrey, and like he was just exploding off the screen. It seemed to kind of, I think Ace Ventura had a sequel, and then Liar Liar, the cable guy, which a lot of people hate, and like it's like after Liar Liar, somewhere in there, it just started to, at least as far as my sense of how funny Jim Carrey had been and stuff, and all the movies he was suddenly in after, I guess, They Living Color had gone off the air, and but anyway, I just associate him with it big time. How over the top the stuff was. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, Nicole Kidman's in there, Chris McDonald, I believe is his name, is Robin. It's like, I just remember really loving the film, and at the theater and everything, how it seemed like it was like an epic movie at the time, especially the ending scene where they go by land and sea to stop them and stuff. Again, an over-the-top movie, especially looking back. It's like it was entertaining as all get out, and especially as a kid, it seemed so huge. And hey, it's Jim Carrey, and this guy, you're just ignoring, even as a kid, I knew who Tommy Lee Jones was from movies like The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. But looking back, it's like you just saw, man, he's a bad guy. He shoots people and stuff, and look at all the guys he has under him, all of his little army of red hoodie wearing, whatever, not hoodie, but whatever that mask is, flipping the coin to decide things and stuff. But yeah, looking back, especially Jim Carrey, you see how crazy over the top the stuff was. How turning these dark characters into not so much comedic, but just maybe, I don't know if clownish is the word, but I enjoyed Batman Forever as far as entertainment value. I liked it that there was a little bit of a romance that happened, but nothing really tasteless. Losing Robin's parents and then him becoming Robin. That McDonald he was kind of like this, like he was a good Robin, like this tough kid kind of a thing, which again, as comparisons go, I like that Robin much more than the Dark Knight Rises Robin or Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, because I didn't get that at all. It's like, is he supposed to be Robin? That's his nickname you see at the end of the movie, and it's like, well, whatever. He finds the Batcave, but it's like, okay, now what? It's been a couple years. It's apparent they're not going to make another movie. You don't know if he's going to be in, if his character, much less the actor, is going to be in the new ongoing build up to the Justice League movies. So it's like, what was that ending even about? Dark Knight Rises. But yeah, I really liked, even now I like it, Batman Forever, and I go ahead and put it as my number 2 favorite. Yes, that's how high I put it. Tim Burton Batman with Michael Keaton, first movie. Number 2 would be Batman Forever. Batman and Robin. We got to change things up again, and it's so crazy that the same guy directed it, adding all this color to it when it had been that just not black and white, but that gothic look to everything in the first 2 movies, and then the over-the-topness of basically Jim Carrey, but also Tommy Lee Jones' performance, and just the breakout of color, and just it seemed like a totally different style from Tim Burton's, which was so apparent. But then to make the whole movie one big toy commercial in Batman and Robin, it was like, I can't really remember the film. I really can. It wasn't memorable to me, even though I did only watch it one time. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze with his one-liners. The Iceman cometh, and what was it, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and that they actually did depict Bane as being in there. What was he? Was he one of her henchmen? I don't even remember. Kind of crazy. But yeah, I forget what the actress's name was who played Batgirl. I just got this weird little memory of Tom Clooney's Bruce Wayne having dinner with that woman, whoever the character was, saying, I mean, it's obviously a date, and yet she's saying how really like to get to know you better and all this, and it's obviously a date. And I remember him saying, "I'm really not the kind of guy you get close to." It's like, okay, well then what? What in the world is it? Kind of like this movie, Batman and Robin. Anyway, I don't even remember the ending fight. Just Alfred getting sick, and George Clooney's Batman saying to Mr. Freeze when he had overcome him in some fight, saying, "I need your help for a friend." And was it that was his wife, Mr. Freeze's wife, was still alive and able to be helped somehow? Was that it? I don't even remember. I'd have to go back and watch the film. But it's like the end. He ends up being cellmates with Poison Ivy, and she had been like wanting him, like in love with him during the movie or something. And he says, "I'm your new cellmate, and I'm here to make your life a living." Trying to remember something else. I just remember him saying, "Take one of these vials with some chicken noodle soup," or something like that, to help Alfred get better. Jeremy Irons is Alfred in the new movie. That's going to be interesting. Even though Michael Caine was one of the things I really was one of the things I loved most about the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. But yeah, that's all I can remember. Batman and Robin. That and maybe a scene at the beginning with Mr. Freeze's henchman on ice skates, seeming like a big screen depiction to me right then of maybe the old TV show, how it's like antics almost. But yeah, that's all I can really remember of it. Now for the full-on talk about the Nolan films. I'll go ahead and give it away now that in the top 3 favorites, for me it is Tim Burton's first Batman, Batman Forever, and then Batman Begins. Because even though I have issues with some of the Christopher Nolan movies, I really liked the first movie. I did. I watched it at the movie theater, and remember thinking, "Wow, man, this is a Batman movie right here." And yet so many things, because of what they did with the rest of the story. When you see the full picture, it's like some of those things that I liked about it kind of faded into, nah, not so much. I mean, the whole thing of his parents being murdered, yes, but then the person who killed his parents is dead. He actually died. He was shot by one of Falcone's guys who wasn't going to risk him giving away secrets or whatever, ratting out people and everything else. Scarecrow, the guy was I'm trying to think of his name. Man, I can't believe I can't remember his name right now. But you know who the actor is. 28 Days Later. I know he was in that, even though I've never watched 28 Days Later. And he was just in Transcendence the other day. Man, I can't believe I can't remember his name. Sorry. Man. But yeah, another thing about it, Christian Bale. I liked his performance the most in Batman Begins, and then it kind of got not so good, even though I still liked Dark Knight, and then finally, worst of all, in Dark Knight Rises. But again, it wasn't really his acting so much as his lines, the things that he was told to do. The lack of consistent logic, as I see it, it's like Batman was about revenge. Part of the catalyst for sealing his destiny and all that was that it's like he would never know, wasn't it? At least that's the depiction that I've seen in the comics, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I think in the animated series and things. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong about this. But I thought it was like random violence, wasn't it? I know in the first Batman movie they made it that it was a Joker, and so they did that. But this whole thing of, and again, it's what ultimately tainted the trilogy for me, kind of, this whole the legend of Batman, how he wanted to help other people, and how, especially in the third film, it's like he found this little niche where, yes, it's like he did live. Bruce Wayne is still alive. That wasn't just some hallucination or Alfred seeing something that he wanted to see. I do believe, I've seen the movie a couple times, yes, that Bruce Wayne lived, because Selena Kyle was also there with him. I won't say Catwoman, because I don't think they ever referred to Selena Kyle as Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises. Just Selena Kyle. But I thought that was part of what made Batman Batman. It's like, yes, it was a quest for justice, but also it was the darkness to Batman was that it was about it is still kind of a revenge tale, isn't it? I mean, that he would never know who killed his parents, and so he fights crime. And yes, they sort of did that in the Nolan trilogy. He's going to go off and try and find himself. He ends up in Japan, of course. But it's like, was he just looking for something to do? No. It is made out to be this... You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to go ahead and go this far on it. Even for the sake of helping his fellow man and for fighting for his city that his father fought for and all this, that I could buy into the whole thing too. He knows who killed his parents. It's not so much a revenge thing, so much as a personal quest for justice for others and for nobility and honor. Okay, I got you. But what I can't get past is some things beginning in Dark Knight and then big time in Dark Knight Rises. This whole thing of... And I don't know what... Please, nobody tell me that they're just trying to do a take on issues of the day, as in suicide or Islamic terrorist stuff. Because I know the thing with Heath Ledger's Joker doing the videos and stuff, some people say, well, it's kind of like Osama bin Laden's terrorist videos. But then it's just this all-out thing in Dark Knight Rises. They were all gonna die. All the bad guys were gonna die. It's just one big suicide mission, a cult of death. They didn't want anything. They didn't even want to survive themselves. Because that's what I took from the film. And it's like, it's bogus. It is completely bogus. At least, like Islamist extremist terrorists or whatever, at least they talk about how they think they're going to heaven and being rewarded and virgins and all the rest. These people were just nuts. I liked Scarecrow, thought he was intimidating. I didn't like the way he just kind of fizzled out at the end, though. Getting knocked off his high horse, tasered by Katie Holmes in the face. And then he's like, oh, that wasn't a good image to go out on for me, as far as... Because he's like this terrifying figure. But that wasn't very scary. Just saying. Same actor portraying him shows up again for a moment in Dark Knight, and then he's the judge, almost like a cameo that, as a judge sentencing people in The Dark Knight Rises to a cold, watery whatever. Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, I don't like it. I only realized this just the other day. I didn't know the comic storyline that well, but it's like the same thing with the Mandarin. In Iron Man, if this character was Middle Eastern or Central Asian, Persian, Arab, whatever that character was supposed to be, then Ra's al Ghul was supposed to be Asian, if that was what the source material says. I hate what they're doing with this junk, because yes, it's Liam Neeson, he can act, he's this big intimidating guy, and I bought it, but it's like, it doesn't change the fact, you know? And yes, I did enjoy the first film that way. Dark Knight, what a hyped up, I remember how big that film was when it first came out. How it broke box office records. People already wanted to see it big time, but then with the tragic, sudden loss of Heath Ledger, I remember how pre-screenings and midnight screenings from a day before the general release, how things were sold out and how it was just kind of crazy. And I remember, did I watch it once or twice? I'm not sure. I think twice. The opening scene, but again, I don't want to harp on it anymore, but it's just, even the opening scene, it's like, you know what, maybe the opening scene, his little cracks before he shoots, makes sure all the other clowns are dead, and he takes all the money for himself and gets out in the bus. Maybe that's the closest thing to like a Joker-ish thing that I remember seeing, but it's like the rest of it is like it's like it's his own character. It's like he's reinvented it, and what he reinvented really just isn't. It's big. I'll go ahead and say it's powerful, menacing, no doubt, no question there, no argument. It just didn't seem like the Joker to me. It's like it really was Heath Ledger's Joker, which again really spells out more of the reason why I'm glad that he was awarded for that, for his talent. I just wish people would stop doing that, to be honest with you. How many X-Men movies have they made trying to do their own thing, and just instead of just telling the story and making a good movie, because no good movie had been made about it, then they make a movie and it's like they want to mess around. Anyway, Dark Knight, I actually like some of Dark Knight for reasons that other people I don't think talk about, or they actually dislike it for. I actually liked Aaron Eckhart's portrayal of Harvey Two-Face at the end of that film. Words that, it's just me. It's just words that I'll never forget. You thought we could be decent men in an indecent time, and he's flipping the coin and letting chance decide, and he's having his revenge. He shoots Batman. He's about to shoot himself. No, he makes it. He's going to shoot the kid. That to me was that's part of the reason why I like the film. The ending of it, the whole thing of I'm actually going to get it wrong, probably. I'm going to get it backwards. I'm the hero Gotham. I'm not the hero Gotham deserves. I'm the one it needs, or whatever. And it's like, I think Barely Political made a good little spoof about that. I don't get it, Dad. He didn't do anything wrong. It just sounds really cool, son. But yeah, I still liked Dark Knight, despite its problems of. Do I like that part, or do I not? I know that in first Batman movie, Joker died. Not that Batman killed him, but ensured that he wouldn't get away, and then Joker ended up not getting the picture, and that big gargoyle ended up weighing him down to the point, he could hover over to a building and live. He's down trying to get up into the helicopter and ultimately falls to his death, and you hear the little thing laughing like he gets the last laugh somehow. Ha 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 ha. How creepy that junk was to me when I was a kid. But anyway, the way that he has this code, Batman has a code that he doesn't kill people. That's so interesting to me, especially when you think about the Man of Steel movie. The way he saved Joker's life at the end. Very interesting for sure. But then he's got to rush off because he realizes there's another hostage situation going on. Harvey Two-Face. And he tackles him out the window before he shoots. Harvey's dead. Two-Face is dead. You got the poetic stuff of he was the hero that Gotham needs, not me, turning Two-Face's horrible side over to Harvey's good side that he had left. And the whole thing of, you see, I'm kind of torn about this part of it because they did lie. He did say that he was going to take the blame for the cops and the people that Two-Face had murdered, which would have devastated the city or whatever, broken people's hearts, ruined Harvey's reputation because Harvey had ruined his own reputation. But it's like there's this very basic principle about how we can't do good things, bad things, that good things might come of it. Like the means don't justify the end doesn't justify the means. And I kind of liked it in The Dark Knight Rises when, sure enough, they realized they made a mistake because it ultimately blew up in their face and they ended up with a catastrophe on their hands. So I kind of like it that they actually finished that thought in the third movie. They didn't just say, hey, we can go on forever with people believing this lie and we can maybe have some stability and peace for a limited time. And it's like 7 years, 8 years. I'm like, come on. Give me a break. I didn't get that at all. And yeah, one more thing I wanted to say about The Dark Knight Rises was the action. I mean, it seemed like it seems to me like it should have been memorable, more memorable than it is to me. Again, just my opinion, because I know it seemed like the whole half of the second half of the film was like one continuous action sequence when you only just slow down for just a second for something to find out what's really going on, but then that it was like non-stop between the time the Joker was apprehended to his final third act of trying to make people blow each other up in the boats. And it's like, wow, it really did seem like a non-stop thing. But again, I've got a mixed reaction about would people blow each other up in those boats, because I'm inclined to think that maybe somebody would have overpowered somebody else, depending on what kind of people you had. If you had very different kinds of people in each boat, that yeah, one of them might have gotten a hold of that thing, and the Joker's plan would have worked of having some people blow each other up. But on to the final film, The Dark Knight Rises, and hopefully it won't be the final film. I mean, I'm looking forward to Batman versus Superman, or Superman versus Batman, whatever they finally call it, big time. And I have no problem with Ben Affleck as Batman. I'm sure it'll be fine. I liked him in Daredevil. While I didn't like everything in Daredevil, I like Ben Affleck as Daredevil. But anyway, the final movie. Again, if there was ever a movie, maybe it's the king of movies, the number one movie that it was entertaining to me in the theater, and then the more I thought about it, it was like, that junk just didn't make sense. It was bad. And yes, I'll go ahead and say this much. I mean, just my opinion. Please don't hate me for disliking the final movie, but it is the one in the trilogy, Batman Begins being my favorite of the trilogy, that I ultimately dislike it. Not just mediocre, I dislike it. Or middle ground, straddling the fence, like some things, don't like others. I genuinely dislike the final film because it's like, what was that dude, Bane? And why did he sound like that? Why did Christian Bale have to do the tiger voice so much to the point that they ultimately overdid it? They didn't mean to, I know, but they ultimately created a live-action cartoon with one guy talking like this and another guy talking like he has serious problems. It's like, what was that? I don't know. And really, I don't care, because some of the things they did didn't make sense. It's one elaborate suicide mission. Ra's al Ghul, the guy was too extreme for Ra's al Ghul. And again, even my sister, I drug her and my mom to the theater to watch it, and she was kind of disturbed. Like, okay, when he developed feelings for her in that prison in Africa, or that hole in the earth or whatever, she was still a little girl. And so my sister was really creeped out by the age difference between Bane and Ra's al Ghul's daughter. And really, of all things to mention, yeah, that's got to be a very valid point too. It's like, exactly what is this movie saying? The flashback with Liam Neeson, kind of a cheap shot overall, because he's just in one little scene, and there's Bruce Wayne trying to get over his broken back. Very disappointing fight scene. I don't care what fighting technique they were trying to popularize. I don't care about that. I just remember watching a movie and being like, man, this looks goofy. Short. It wasn't very long. I mean, we don't necessarily need 80s style things, but I would actually take that over now, where it seems like things were kind of drawn out. You actually get tired of some of the stuff in like the older movies. But really, I guess we need to go back and take a lesson from that and not have things be so stinking short. Breaks him in no time, picks him up, then the guy fixes him with one pop of the back, hangs him out to dry, hangs him up like like a piece of meat. Okay, you will sit here, you will hang here until your back is better. And then he sees the people on TV getting hung from bridges as Bane is wreaking havoc on Gotham. Again, the whole thing, I can't even get into particulars. My mind is so clouded by this. It seems like the senselessness of it. What did they want? They just wanted to punish wickedness or whatever they talked about it. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. And Bruce Wayne, so many things that just didn't make sense. Maybe not nearly so much as in Prometheus with the idiots throwing the balls up in the air and somehow getting lost and then going back to the very place where they were afraid to be in to begin with. But no, not so much as that. But it's just Alfred up and leaving him. I remember watching it the first time at the theater thinking, this is so obviously something in this story meant to get his good friend out of the picture. It's like he won't be in danger. It was that transparent why he was leaving Bruce Wayne, why he was leaving his friend. And then the whole thing with Michael Caine. Again, I like Michael Caine, and I like Michael Caine in these movies, but it's just that scene at the end, so disappointing. I failed you. It's like failed the Wayne parents that he thinks Bruce Wayne is dead. He finally showed up again to attend a funeral, I guess. The funeral scene, the quote from Tale of Two Cities, misused in my opinion, misused big time. The scene of Batman revealing to Commissioner Gordon that part of what's helped him in his life and why he is the way he is, you never know what people do for you in moments of kindness, like a police officer comforting a child when he needed it, the loss of his parents, and the flashback to when he was a kid. The scene was given no time to breathe at all to be what it could have been. And I was like, just like parts in the African prison were not given time to breathe. And I remember watching the movie the first time thinking, man, it's supposed to be all this time he spends, all this time is supposed to pass while he's in this prison, and yet it seems like it's no time at all. Yes, he was hurt, but now he's better, so that was a good long while. Now he's somehow even more healthier than ever before, even with the doctor telling him you've got no cartilage in your knees, and it's like you've got the cartilage of an 80-year-old man and you're falling apart. Again, something that doesn't make sense, considering how little you actually saw Batman do in these movies. And again, I know I'm not a movie maker yet. I know I'm not one to judge, not a critic. It's all just my opinion. And my opinion is it wasn't allowed to breathe. The scenes have to be able to be what they're supposed to be. We can't just skip on to the next thing. Time jumps like all get out. What was that police officer's name who lost his nerve? And then he came back in the end and he basically died a martyr's death. We're the only police force in this town. Kind of like his character. His name is right up there on the tip of my tongue. Why can't I remember it? Matthew Modine. Thank you very much. Remembered it. Favorite movie with him in it's got to be Memphis Belle. Like that movie. But yeah, what else can I say about the Batman films? Again, favorites in order: Tim Burton's first Batman, Batman Forever, and then Batman Begins, because I really liked how big and bad that movie seemed when I first saw it. Even though there were elements in it, the seeds of the things that sprouted into something that I didn't like. And as the trilogy went on, and I'm glad, you know what? Maybe it would have been better if they really did kill off Bruce Wayne and Batman. Maybe that would have been better than all this, because I mean, obviously that would have been the most powerful thing to do, because as it is, you know what, I'll go ahead and say that if it wanted to be this thing about it's not really Batman, it's about Bruce Wayne and the legend of whatever, something inspirational, well, that would have been the most powerful thing you could have done. He gets out there, autopilot was not working, he gets out to a safe range, which I'm thinking, if what is essentially like a nuclear bomb, this horrible thing goes off, isn't it going to contaminate the water and kill a bunch of people anyway? I mean, anyway. Yeah. Didn't really care for that. The one little scene that Michael Caine sees him in to let you know that he's alive is like, I think it would have been better if they had killed him off altogether, because that would have been the most powerful thing as far as the storytelling and as far as, because it's kind of like a cheap shot otherwise, because there's Commissioner Gordon with that mesmerized, depressed face, like he understands how much this person gave, and the whole city thinks Batman is dead, and yet Bruce Wayne is actually able to go on living. But really, as far as the movie goes, for the movie going, for this experience, because it's not just about the people in the story, it's also the people who are watching this story unfold. It would have been more powerful to have the self-sacrifice thing in it, because it's not like that would have stopped him from actually having Batman in Batman versus Superman, or Superman versus Batman, or whatever. Anyways, they'll go ahead and tell other stories, make more movies. So yeah, not sure what else I can say about that. I like the opening scene. The effect, again, unfortunately, it seems like one of those instances where you got these great effects, but a poor storyline happening at the very beginning. The way that CIA agent just brings this mysterious guy he hasn't checked out onto his plane. It's a neat effect with the plane being cut in half and stuff by a bigger plane. Bane and his cult or whatever, League of Shadows. The guy stays on there. Like, you've got to be kidding me, boss. No, you have to stay. Your dead body will show that we perished, or whatever. Again, I don't have that particular Batman comic, but I've seen Bane in the comics. I've seen that image everywhere of when he breaks the Batman. It's like, maybe you didn't have to go CGI, especially in this movie where they're trying to make everything realistic, but you could easily have gotten a big actor. Or have the Venom thing. Have that actor, and then when it's time for him to really transform into Bane, take the Venom, get this huge Joker, some 7-footer, big brawny arm guy to do the fighting part with Batman. It's like, but as it is, it's like, whatever. Kind of a letdown. Just my opinion. But yeah, I guess that's a wrap. Again, really looking forward to Batman versus Superman, or Superman versus Batman, or whatever. And as I continue this series of just putting my basic thoughts out on these different franchises and these different videos, I guess maybe I'll try and do Jurassic Park tomorrow. That's gotta be the shortest one. The shortest one yet that I could go ahead and put out, just to maybe start up a conversation with somebody, put my opinion out there on the channel. Anyway, take care, and thank you for listening to me.